You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing, daily, hopefully.
Well, hello, it's Monday the 26th of August 2024. It's a bank holiday Monday here in the UK, well, here in England. I don't believe it is in Scotland, where I was earlier this morning. And welcome to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. And this is the biggest example of winging it I think I've ever done, because we're flying until gone 7 o'clock. It's going to be nearly 8 o'clock by the time I'm back at the car. It's going to be gone 9:30 by the time I get home. And it's going to be... Well, I've got to go and take my car to be serviced, and they happened to mention to me on a phone call the other day that, the engine needs to be cool, which means the car needs to have been at the service place for at least an hour before they start working on it. Well, I'm due at 8 o'clock, the service. Trying not to laugh here. So I've got to drop the car off at 7. I'm not going to be back till nearly 9, so I'm thinking of dropping the car off tonight and getting a taxi home, and that way I don't have to get up early tomorrow morning to run the car in. So I'm sitting in a departures waiting area at Terminal 5 of Heathrow Airport. As you can hear, there's a very small person that is quite shrill behind me. And I'm just dropping my phone. So I don't remember really what else I'm going to say today. I've literally thought, I need to do the podcast now, because if I don't, I'm not going to do it later. And I'm completely out of ideas 1 minute and 25 seconds in. But the reality is, I'm not going to do any writing today. This is another excuse podcast. Yeah, I've got three types of podcasts: regular podcasts, excuse podcasts, and emergency podcasts. And I've got a cleaner telling the baby to shush. This is hilarious. And it didn't work, as you can hear. So what I'm going to do when I get home tonight is I'm going to drop the car off, and then I'm going to sleep. And then tomorrow is going to be a writing day, because I really want to get this draft, so not the first draft finished, but I really want to get the bulk of chapter 35 written by the end of, what day am I today? By the end of Wednesday, because I go back to work on Thursday. And if I can do that by the end of Wednesday, the rest of the editing, which is the screen read through and the paper read through, are going to be much easier to do. I reckon I can do that. I can do that whilst I'm working. I've got 2 days off, and then I've got a long haul flight anyway, which tends to be a lot less. Long haul flights, there is time between to do stuff, whereas because I've been on a 4-day short haul block, it's a lot harder work, and you're busier a lot more of the time. So, yeah. I hope you're enjoying this therapeutic noise. Mother's taking the baby for a little walk over there. And it's coming back. Sorry, I thought we might be spared the noise, but apparently not. So my plan tomorrow is to write as much as I can of the chapter where the unfortunate and horrible thing happens to my character, Daniel Huxley. Poor old Danny. His chips are up. And I still haven't decided whether he's going to appear in the epilogue or not. So I've got lots of possibilities for how I end the story. The epilogue is basically just going to be a series of little vignettes about what happened to all the main characters in the world after the majority of the human race has been destroyed. A couple of people have actually asked me, do I want to write any stories set in that world? And the answer is honestly no. The post-apocalyptic thing has been done to death, and it always, whether it's Walking Dead or the original 70s Survivors, it always ends up with people trying to control other people, and people who think they're better than other people, and lots of people getting killed. And actually, the way mine's set up, the world after the trees have wiped out humanity is actually not going to be that hideous. It's going to be people working together. There's not going to be that many people. There's not going to be tribes and factions, because basically everybody's going to start their journey together. And the epilogue is literally going to be the characters from the main story that make it through to this world after, what happens to them. And I've got a couple of little decisions to make. So there's what happens. The biggest one is how I finish off the Mackenzie storyline. I have a couple of ideas, but I kind of want the character to have a happy ending, but I don't know how easy that's going to be to achieve. Daniel Huxley is supposed to be dead. He gets killed in the chapter I'm about to write, but because of the way he dies, I have left it possible there is a way he could survive. And I haven't decided whether that's going to play out in a positive way. I think it probably is, to be honest, because I've got enough other people dying. Chapter 39, or chapter 38, as I think I may have described to you in the past, is what I call the chapter of death. So it's the chapter where I tell you about all of the sort of secondary characters that have peppered the story. It's going to be about what happens to them, and they're all going to die. They're going to be on an Earth where there isn't enough oxygen to survive, so it's going to be quite a down chapter. So I think the epilogue is going to have to be as uplifting as it can. So I think Danny probably will survive. There's going to be two other characters who we've sort of hinted like each other. It's going to be set a year or so down the line, and so she will be heavily pregnant, and so it's not all doom and gloom. Anyway, I do feel very strange sitting here at Heathrow talking into my phone but not really talking to anybody. It's a one-way conversation, but nobody's looking at me as if I'm weird, so that's a new experience. I will be back tomorrow with a podcast. I'm going to do the podcast in the afternoon or evening, so by then I should have actually done some writing, because I can't remember when I last actually did a podcast that reported back on some writing. I think it was probably when I was in India, so that is a while back. I also said that I need to write a chapter every 16 shows. Well, I think this is show 108 or 109, which means I've basically got a week to stay on track to finish chapter 35. I can do that, and I will do that, and that process starts tomorrow with starting to write the body of chapter 35. Hopefully I'll finish it the following day, and then that gives me 5 or 6 days to get the editing done, which, given that I'm working long haul, which is easier rather than short haul, I think I can get that done. Thank you very much for listening, and sorry about the noise, and I'll be back tomorrow with what will hopefully be a much quieter podcast. Thank you, bye-bye.
You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.